So I feel it's important for this episode to do a quick check of language before we go on.
Yes, I also did this.
Yes, hooray!
Hooray for us.
I'm hoping we came to the same result. There's a lot of different opinions out there, but one thing that seems to be unilaterally agreed is that the M word is not to be used.
Yes.
Which is good to know. And incidentally, I will... Okay, but looking for the term that we should use to refer to people who are under 4 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
A little complicated, but it does seem that a great many bodies have agreed that the term dwarfs is appropriate.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because that gets you into the realms of what do you do if the term that the group of people in the minority have chosen is not one you really want to use? I don't like dwarfs much. Does that matter? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't count. Do
you not like it because you've just assumed for a long, long time that dwarf was inappropriate, and so that's kind of now settled badly in the old gut?
Maybe it's like a social programming thing, but also it just kind of feels inappropriate.
Is it because it was in a Martin McDonagh movie? You just assume that you shouldn't have said it?
I'd set my life that way. If it happened in one of those movies, I definitely shouldn't.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Barry. Me and Barry were affected by this condition that nobody else is affected by. We've been talking about the correct thing to call us. Oh, okay. What have you decided on? Okay. So please call us that.
Like when we're not around to condone it as well, please. You have to if you respect us.
In all future correspondence.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, the ultimate sort of PC argument would be, do we need to have a term? How about their name? But for the purposes of discussions like this,
where there are many
have,
dwarfs.
Yeah, we do have to have a collective noun. People of short stature, I kind of like, puts the people first. And although the problem there is the ambiguity of the word stature. Like stature can also refer to somebody's social stature, and maybe they're not, short in that respect. They might have a tremendous legacy, long-reaching, longer than mine.
Undoubtedly,
I'm a tiny man when it comes to political stature. Awful.
It's also a bit of a
What I've
mouthful.
done there is equate. Yeah, it is right. A little. Maybe I'll just be uncomfortable for this one.
Well, there's no difference to any other episode then.
That's true. Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, a podcast that smells mighty like a polecat. I'm Paul Cat.
I missed being an angel by 3 seconds.
You were late. You showed up late to the auditorium.
I know.
And now you've got to settle for Scum Thumper.
For Bangel.
I am Barry Bangel. I do all the work. The angels don't consider that important.
I bring barrels everywhere.
Everywhere. You're a fucking horrible entity, Barry Bangel. I don't like it.
I have a borrowable beach impediment.
It's fucking unintelligible.
Bye, everyone. It's the end. I broke Paul.
Oh, shit.
Hopefully I broke you too.
I see a 5 in this episode name, and I'm getting pretty good at spotting those now. So let's get into this history hole. And the history hole.
Sweet.
Failing to realise that each time we do, the Bistry Bowl gets a little bit more into us.
Yeah. And the space-time continuum gets a little more, shit.
Horny. Yeah. A bit shitter.
Shit horny.
Shit and horny, like that guy down the pub, He used to be a pilot for British Airways, and now he thinks he's hot shit. And he's all up in your business and your ladies.
And then he changed his name to Barry Bangel, and he's shit and horny. 24/7.
Nobody can understand what the fuck he's talking about, ever. It's a terrible situation that we're all having to live through. Now, this time we are very carefully reviewing Sam Newfield's 1938 film, The Terror of Tiny Town.
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, we're going to present for your approval a novelty picture with an all-midget cast, the first of its kind ever to be produced. I'm told that it has everything. That is, everything that a Western should have. It's a soul-stirring drama, a searing saga of the sagebrush, and it's called The Terror of Tiny Town.
Starring a cast of actors all under 4 feet tall. Legend has it that the idea for the film came when producer Jed Boole overheard an employee joke, if this economic dive keeps going, we'll be using midgets as actors. That employee had taken his own life just a few months later. See, it's not funny. Not funny, the 30s. It's a very dark time, a lot of problems.
Everyone was basically Bane.
They were basically horrible. And it is worth remembering that society, the society that made this movie, was reeling from an economic disaster and just a few short years away from becoming embroiled in another international conflict, the second in living memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet we shall call them out for the exploitative turds that they definitely were. From the comfort of our science fiction hover chairs. Take that, boomers.
They are great and warm.
Doomers?
Doomers.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. Also for the implication that they could just pay them less. As a union man. Or,
oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't even fucking figure that. I took it as like a diminutive kind of thing of just, we can't afford the height on these actors. But no, the implication was, yeah, well, just because we don't need to pay them ever.
But yeah, but also they're small. So the 30s was a 2-layer sort of society.
Yeah.
Fuck it, basically.
Fuck it. I was just thinking all the jokes I was making felt wrong. So let's
there's a filter down, isn't there, Paul? There's a filter in place, and like before a joke comes out, you start going, is this bad? No, none of these words could be misconstrued. Oh, the time's gone.
Before I go and pitch this to a Hollywood exec, I just run it through the quick, is this shite filter? Is this really hurtful unnecessarily to a whole demographic of people? And when I decide that it is, as it always is, I don't then go and pitch it to a Hollywood studio executive, because they will greenlight anything.
Yeah.
Our podcast is proof of this.
Jerry Bruckheimer has been really lenient, and I want to thank him personally for the extent of his crimes of blowing cigar smoke in our faces whilst we're crying.
He's been very merciful in that respect. Oh, God. Well, look, fortunately, the film is considered one of the worst films ever made, so at least there's comfort in their failure.
Yeah. I'm sure the actors didn't get any more work, but
Well, they did. They all went and worked on The Wizard of Oz, seriously. Like, most of the actors in this are in The Wizard of Oz. I guess the guy who kind of owned them then drove them over to another set. Because it's the 30s and it sucked.
And said, wear this and these and sing this.
Oh, God. Sing this, you property of mine. But look at this vindicating review, for us, not them. Film Threat noted that the terror of Tiny Town is so patently weird and spirited that it actually becomes very funny. Albeit in a perverse and politically incorrect way. My favourite.
See,
the cast isn't especially talented, and a lot of the dialogue reading comes across as hilariously stilted.
Yeah.
And Nita Krebs, as the Dietrich-esque saloon singer, is so wildly over the top, or under the top in her case.
Wow.
Great. Bomb. That her musical siren call is priceless in its warped eroticism. You know, sometimes you read a review that you hate, and you just think, I just wait for time to finish that one off.
I'm just going to wait for the old heat death of the universe to finish us off. As a
the
people.
Heat death of Twitter will get involved. And, yeah, there's not much work needed on that one.
Yeah.
It's already
it is
marked for slaughter. Oh, Christ. The Peeblick? The Peeblick, meanwhile, I am genuinely afraid to check. It's not so much that I can't find a review on IMDb that actually talks about how boring, exploitative, and poorly made the film is. It's that none of them can not do that in under 500 goddamn words.
Wow, okay. I thought you were going to say without making at least one little person joke.
Yeah, that too. But they're also at length.
Because, yeah, the YouTube comments are interesting as well. They're not out and out malicious, but it's just people who go, what? I can't make a dwarf joke. This is crazy.
What is this new world? What, they're people? Oh.
I hate this. This is scary and confronting and scary.
I believe in freedom of speech and freedom from thinking about my speech.
Yeah.
And I demand that be enforced in all instances.
Yeah.
Here's one, though. The producers should have cast Mickey Rooney as a giant, says Fighting Westerner. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, okay. That's
great. Why?
It's about as good as you can hope for, hey.
Why him in particular? It's all very, very involved. Jiminy Jellicers.
A small, angry man.
He's willing to do anything. Watch Breakfast at Tiffany's. Anything. So, Paul, you low-down coyote.
Howdy.
What's one thing about the terror of Tiny Town that made you want to jump a bunch of rustlers at work? This film doesn't have a lot of memorable dialogue.
No. I like the intro, Paul, because the intro reminded me what fucking film this was. And I went, oh, good. Good.
Yep,
good.
Sometimes the title just comes up on the list. You type it in, you don't really get a whole lot of context from what I've said. So yay.
Yeah.
I only saw, incidentally, whilst looking this up on YouTube, that there was a promo for it. And I thought, oh boy, I might as well watch that, not realising it's actually just the first 4 minutes of the fucking film. So,
okay.
Went ahead and watched that twice. Time well spent.
Now you know that, back to back.
I sure fucking do.
Etched in your mind, Paul, is the smartly dressed human being who comes out and says, we've got a very special show for you today. oh, wait, sorry, a little person has to come in and tug on my coattails.
Oh, God.
To get this whole fucking catastrophe moving.
Just, he's here to tell you not to take it too seriously, which is always a good sign, especially here in this context.
But I must caution you not to take it too seriously.
Hey, mister, come down here. I want to talk to you.
Pardon me. You mean it is serious?
Sure it's serious. I'm the hero. After this picture's out, I'll be the biggest cowboy star in Hollywood.
Wait a minute.
Well, the hero and the villain come out for a bit, and they say things like, we'll see about that, and oh yeah, so it's definitely the 30s.
I'm the terror of Tiny Town, and that's the star part.
That's what you think.
Yeah, that's just what I think.
Yeah.
All the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
Language moved a lot slower back then.
It had to.
They couldn't afford it to have it go any quicker. There were so many uncertainties in the world. People had to say, oh yeah, for at least 30 years.
Is that right? It's like that, huh?
Literally any decade. Before this one. 90s.
90s, I mean, Run DMC was all about that.
It's tricky, okay? It's tricky. So, we get the movie's credits, including a credit for Jed Bruhl's collection of human beings in a rollicking, rooting, tooting, shooting drama of the great outdoors. It's like Bourne meets Inception. Come see it.
Yeah.
Come see it,
it raised
from the
bar.
title card of this film. Oh, I won't leave.
No, stop shouting at me. Stop slapping and shouting at me. So, my God, Paul, the film ends.
Some hour later, it ends with things having happened.
There's a sort of good and the ugly, isn't there? And they haven't got the bad in there.
Well, the ugly's bad.
The villain, who is the terror, the eponymous terror.
The eponymous Tiny Town Terror.
He's got a bloody plot, Paul. He's gonna pit the two big families with guns in this town against one another.
Yes, there's a town with two big families who are feuding. Where could this be leading? Yeah. And the villain is stealing some cattle whilst riding a Shetland pony. Love it.
And I just imagined at this point a cinema full of 30s people. Just uproarious laughter.
Screaming laughter.
Just crying.
Just hoping that they don't have to go back outside to deal with Hitler again.
Yeah. He was misunderstood at this point. He just wanted space for his people.
He just wanted to get into art college at this stage.
That's true. He was doing a film with John Cusack.
What year was this? Did I even say at the top? 1938. Oh, he was on his way.
30.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was.
He was getting there.
He'd already marched into multiple countries, and Neville Chamberlain was only kind of feeling weird about it right now.
He had some questions that he wanted to ask.
Interesting time.
Look, I don't necessarily like France either, so maybe I'm okay with it.
I think best just to be done with them, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, an advert starts, and it's the fucking Compare the Market meerkats, and I feel bad about more or less everything.
Christ.
Oh, Christ.
So we've got the Lawsons, and then whoever the fuck.
Yeah, we got one family.
The name of the other family.
Who cares? It's the
Juliet.
The Romulets and the Juliet's family.
Yeah. The Romulets and the Capulets, yeah.
The Romulans and the Capulons. So, we get one of 4 musical numbers, and I love it. And we go to...
There's a great one.
Yeah, they're great. And they go to the bar where the villain tells the sheriff all about the crimes he's planning on doing.
Yeah. And the sheriff just really... Finger not on the pulse, is he? So he's, well, I guess I got no choice but to do exactly what you want, villain.
I'm not really that interested in anything. Okay.
yeah, honestly, I'm pretty bored. So
I think we're going to a barber shop in a minute. I might be there, I don't know. It's hard to keep track of things.
Might be singing and dancing, they might not. Don't stop asking me questions. I'm just the sheriff.
Just settle down, it's the 30s. Lower your expectations. There's a stagecoach robbery! Ooh, maybe this will be exciting, like Stagecoach. And a bunch of horses ride from the right to the left. And then they go from the right to the left.
Yep.
And then they go from the right to the left. And I do my first time check. 30 minutes in, halfway. Unbelievably.
Wow.
Fuck me.
Yeah. It flies by and does not. In the same way that they all the footage of them on ponies is sped up. So in one way, it's very, very fast. In another way, it is not.
It's true. If they haven't sped it up, this would probably be normal feature length. And could pass for a Jim Jarmusch film. So
So
The carriage runs away from the robbery and is stopped by the hero, and there's a lady inside. And there's a romance,
gosh.
apparently, according to the Wikipedia summary I am having to follow along with because of how fucking impossible I'm finding it to watch this movie.
yeah,
Palpably
Look, I can
dull.
help you out with the romance, Paul, because he is a man and she is a woman, and they have a bit of a sing.
Look, Paul, they can have a sing all they like, but they can't have a romance. Their families are feuding, and Steve Harvey won't allow it.
Oh boy, what a shame. But they do try. She packs up a lunch for Buck Lawson and
Yeah.
herself. Yeah, I mean that's it with what you get in the 30s.
Yeah.
They're not. What do you want? He bends her over a barrel and just fucks her blind because he does.
Yeah.
But that's after the film.
That would have happened in the
That's
20s,
That's private
pre-code.
time, Paul.
Now
Yeah.
they have to imply it by having a sequence of various bananas falling into a hole. But, oh shit, look, the short baker can't reach any of his shelves.
Oh
you
my
think he'd
gosh.
keep stuff lower. It's almost as if the kitchen was designed by someone who hates him and his kind.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Especially because 90% of the town does seem tailored for their specific size. The fact that the occasional
But not
things
some
are just
stuff.
occasional things are just gigantic for them, like the saloon doors or a cupboard or the bar in a pub.
Yeah. Look, they had dodgy contractors in when they had their Western town commissioned. And a lot of them were just really unpleasant people who thought it would be funny. So, one obviously dubbed song later, which might be the sing-song you alluded to earlier.
For I'll sing my song as we ride along down on the sunset trail.
Things get pretty intimate, but then Dad shows up.
Oh, Dad!
Ugh, why are dads always trying to stop their kids getting laid? It's a tale as old as time. Our fucking hero determines to settle the feud so that he can get his end away. Which is another thing Steve Harvey's not going to have a thing or two to say about.
And it's something we can all get behind.
Our fucking villain, Bat Haynes, whose name I bothered to include in my notes at this stage,
Oh, fuck, okay.
is all profiting off the fucking conflict.
Yeah, he's very obviously killing people and then being very obviously evil. It's like he's got a bit of Uriah Heep and also a villain from a Clint Eastwood movie. So it's a real horrible mix, Paul, and no one's really going for it. The 30s are a terrible time.
Really terrible.
They just thought he was a stockbroker. They trusted him, and that's the saddest thing.
Trusted him implicitly. But our hero and lady see a horse riding up. How dynamic! They wipe cut to him having arrived where he's going, implying it took ages. It's the lady's dad, and he agrees to a truce, but the villain immediately murders the fuck out of him and tries to kill our hero.
Yeah.
God damn it, I hate villains. They're always up to this kind of thing.
They've always got all this agency, Paul, and I despise it.
They're just always making stuff happen.
Ugh. Like the
Oh,
end
you
of
know
the
what
movie.
Do you know what he does then?
What?
He goes and bloody tells Lady that it was the hero who shot her dad.
But he's the hero, says Lady. And they go, I know, but
He wouldn't do that.
What do you expect in this economy? And then he comes to see her, and she goes, oh, did you kill him? He goes, no, obviously, it was the bad guy. The really awful guy that you hate. Oh,
It
okay.
was the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, you better go to see the sheriff.
Yeah, well, there's another saloon bit.
Oh, good.
And oh boy, I wonder how long this one is.
Mm.
But look how large the beers are. It's almost as if it was poured and designed by someone who hates him.
Almost.
2 shots of it. Brilliant.
God, it's great.
So the hero, he gets arrested. And the lady's full on for a bit.
Yes.
And the villain tries to get the hero hanged without a trial. God damn it, I even wrote it the right way and knew I would say it instead
Hanged
of...
without trial. But not before...
Without trial.
What's your stewing on that woeful mistake, Paul? It's not before he says to the... In front of the sheriff, he says to Mr. Haynes...
We both know who killed Tex Preston.
Yeah, but I know who's gonna hang for it.
Oh, so what? You killed him, says the sheriff. No.
Because I wasn't talking about you. I thought the German lady did it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So...
Can I shoot you? No, you can't.
Oh.
Ah, fuck.
You should, but you won't. It's true. I'm the worst
We
sheriff.
just I can write this movie. So look, if any of this is sounding too dramatic, then rest assured that the music they're using is just... It's really going a long way to ensure you that nothing is really to be taken seriously.
Your uncle owed me a lot of money. You better be ready to pay it up. You know I can't right now. That's your worry.
That this is a crazy show from the 30s, ladies and gents. Step right
Don't
up,
take it too
step
bad.
right up.
It's not like a stock market report. So,
Fuck.
Oh, look, they can just walk under the swinging saloon doors.
No.
You think they make smaller doors, but
You
it's
think-
as if the people who made this place hate these people.
Just have nothing but hatred in their souls for people who are different to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Oh, but she has an enormous gun, by the way. It's massive
I love
compared
it.
to her.
Fantastic.
It's almost like
Look,
loves big guns.
the lady rounds up a posse to go free hero, and the sheriff finally comes around to out the villain without any proof whatsoever.
Yeah.
But fuck that, the villain shoots him in front of everyone. I'm out of here, pricks.
Yeah.
I'm not everyone say that
And
about
now
me.
he's the sheriff.
That drunken sheriff
Yeah.
has too much credibility in this town. I'll never get away with it if he says I did it. The hero wants to go after the villain, so he spends a while taking a gun belt off of another guy.
Yeah. And then he takes it off when he finds him.
And then it reveals that two people are hilariously keeping an entire gang at bay with their guns. Don't even think about it. Oh,
You know what? They're skeezy, lousy, low-down gang members, but they do respect authority.
they do. You have to admit that.
There's nothing more authoritative than a dad with a gun.
There's a sped-up fistfight between the hero and the villain.
Yeah.
But the dance hall girl has put dynamite in the cabin because villain is villain. And it explodes, killing villain, but not hero, who ends up with lady. Yay. The end.
Yay! And that's it, yeah. Oh, God.
Happily ever after. And you hear that song again, because it's the, it's the 30s.
The one that I've had in my head for 2 days straight now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So aside from incredibly catchy, how did you find The Terror of Tiny Town?
So, look, obviously the premise of the movie is morally dubious and definitely
fuck
makes
yeah.
me feel weird.
Yeah.
But we need to assess this movie for its qualities,
Uh-huh.
its nature as a film.
Yeah.
And it's fucking shit. And,
But to be fair to it, fuck this movie. I mean, I hated it a lot. And then I got into what was happening a bit. Or rather, I started following what was happening, which for the first 10 minutes my brain was steadfastly refusing to do.
Yep.
But I never...
Even now, as we're discussing it, my brain is refusing to pay attention to the things you say.
As soon as I got into the idea of, okay, there's two families and the villain's trying to play them off each other, and that's, I was getting into it, but I never lost track of how embarrassing and exploitative the central concept is, because so many shots are designed solely to make you laugh at how short the performers are. And the cast, have been cast for being short, and so the acting ability was not a priority for them in terms of the takes they used. They've clearly all been told to play it broad, which some are better able to do than others. The direction is uninspired and perfunctory, and there's just no feeling, most crucially, of co-production here. There's no feeling that this was something that the dwarf actors were able to participate in and actually make it their own. This was, something done to them, not with them. And I hope they got paid, but it was the 30s and nobody got paid anything.
For the love of Christ, who knows? Yeah, their handler got paid.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He spent it on fancy women.
I mean, the fucking credit at the beginning, Jim Bueller's I mean, fuck me. That's the worst.
God.
That's the worst thing.
Oh, that's awful.
It really is. Like, oh, God. It's just
Freddie
Freddie Jr.'s Blacks in the in the Harlem Review. Oh, fucking hell, 30s. Come on. You couldn't have thought this was okay. You couldn't have.
Well, surely some of you, maybe it was just, it was a groupthink problem of everybody secretly going, I don't feel like we should be ridiculing these people. I do feel bad, but everyone else seems to love it.
Yeah, it's that institutional thing.
So maybe I'm the problem.
The people who said yes have never met a person of short stature in their entire life.
Yeah.
They've never met one and never seen one outside of a Wolf of Wall Street style dwarf tossing party.
Yeah.
And then the people on the ground would have been very nice to everyone and smiled a lot, and the people in it would have felt like they were getting a bit of representation. Representation they had absolutely no control over. And so it just gets made that way with nothing but cynical intentions. And it's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the qualities of the movie, that it felt like the direction for all the characters was smile and just for the love of God, don't stop smiling.
Fuck, it was like a school play.
Yeah, it was pretty woeful. Even the tragic scenes were if they weren't intercut with that song, that they were just it was just fine. Everyone was fine because you can't be happy.
Yeah,
you can't be sad sorry in Tiny Town. It's
Tiny
like,
Town.
Hey, look at these
Singing
people.
dancing place.
Yeah, it's like that attitude. I think it was in the 90s of, look, lesbians can't be sad because there's just tits everywhere. It's like, hey, look at these dwarfs. They can't be sad. They're dwarfs.
And the whole point being,
very vaudeville.
Even if they made them all sad or happy or whatever, the point is they just couldn't make it sincere because they're making a film about people whose experiences they can't relate to because they haven't lived in that life, and that's the last thing that would have happened in the 30s and arguably now. Yeah. Is just a dwarf cast being able to tell their own story.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just vaudeville. So otherwise
it's just shite.
I did get into the story once or twice, and in the third act, I found myself paying more attention, which was good. Is what you want from a film, paying attention.
Yeah. Once you've established the bad guy and the good guy, and you kind of think, I hope the bad guy doesn't get away with this.
Yeah, exactly. I still didn't want the bad guy to get away with it.
You get a little invested. Like, come on, round up the town.
Yeah. So in that respect, it's better than a lot of Naughty's horror.
In that respect, it's a lot better than some of the films we've covered lately. Nevertheless, it did just feel perfunctory. It felt like we've got the idea here. We know what's going to draw people in. Just put a movie out. Put a movie people will buy tickets for, and then think, I've experienced a film. It
was about as deep as... It didn't go any deeper than if the movie would have just been the guy on stage at the beginning, bringing the two leads out onto the stage and going, look at him! Look at him! Go on!
Go on! No. Do it! Do the thing! What?
No.
You know, the thing.
do your thing. I don't understand what you mean.
Oh, look, he's doing it! I'm going home. You can't. You live in my suitcase. I'm a dreadful 30s man. Oh, Christ. All right, well, let's get on to things that we did like about this movie.
Yeah.
Let's quickfire. Quickfire. Tell you this, Paul. That little town.
What?
A fucking hot blacksmith in it. You see this fucking dude with his massive beard and his shirtlessness and his pecs? I
did actually see that, yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking tight blacksmith. That's exactly what you want from a blacksmith.
Pretty dope dude.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. I really like the phrase, not such a hot dude, but I quite like the phrase, I didn't see any lands back. It's lovely phrasing there. Like lazy Western phrasing.
Yeah, I love that. I think I've got some examples of this kind of thing coming up. It's, yeah, I love that. When the stagecoach went out of control, it did look quite good. Just sort of rollicking down a hill. You know, it didn't always look sped up like when they've got the actors on a horse, including reusing footage of the actors on horses several times. But
it's expensive footage, Paul.
It's expensive footage to get. But yeah, the stagecoach rolling out of control, that was pretty good.
Yeah, nice. I do feel like some of the stunts I thought were pretty good, and then I thought it's because it's the same thing with Asian cinema now.
It's because no one gave a shit if they got hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just tip that shit off a bridge. And set off the dynamite. Are you okay?
Can we reuse him for another take? No, get the other one out. It's the worst time to be alive in.
Fuck me.
I did quite like the lead dude. I mean, he's quite good. I mean, his acting maybe isn't too great, but I did like his general kind of way about things. He had a good attitude. I thought he was better than a lot of the other performers.
You had a right to be scared. Nobody would have found that right a pleasure trip. That's the way for a man to talk. I'll have the sheriff take you along when he goes after those outlaws. He needs more men like you. Lend me a hand with those fellas on top, and we'll take the stage on in.
And yeah, it was kind of just
for sure.
A likable presence. And also, it was very interesting and insight into the time when cowboy leads would smile a lot.
Yes.
And sort of be generally, like, happy kind of dudes. Until Clint Eastwood came along.
The old Ehrenreich in Hail Caesar thing.
Until the 70s happened. And the 60s. 60s changed a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we're better for it.
Do you know what, Paul? He had a Ewan McGregor moment. His hair was very nicely
I saw
back,
that.
But at the very end, in the fist fight, his hair was down. It was doing the one cool bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi's from the prequels. It was all over the place, and he looked like a down and dirty fucker.
Like a dapper badass.
Dirty dog, and I loved it, Paul. And I really liked the fist fight at the end. I know it was sped up to look more snazzy and effective, but it didn't cut away from anything. And you know, essentially, these guys were just they were just probably told to punch each other and actually hurt each other because you know, horrible time the 30s.
Try and knock into the tiny furniture. It's funny.
But like they were throwing each other around and they were grappling and scuffling and
look rough.
They were getting a hold of each other.
Absolutely.
Look good.
Good stuff. I like the idea that the villain is just trying to perpetrate a situation of chaos that he can then profit off of.
Yeah.
He has no long-term plan except that it's good for his business if these two families carry on fighting with each other.
Yeah.
I think there's a reference at one point that whichever one wins will be in a weakened state, so he'll be able to sort of impose better terms on some sort of deal with them, and it's it's kind of cool. The idea of it's not that there's a good house and a bad house, it's that there's just two houses and one asshole who's trying to make life difficult for everyone. Quite like that.
Yeah, it was great.
Just wants to watch the world burn.
He moved with purpose.
Yeah.
And it was a bit Uriah Heep with wanting to marry the lady.
Yeah.
He wasn't very humble, but he did want to marry the lady, and that was pretty creepy.
Yeah. Insidious dude.
There was a moment at the beginning where I thought, fuck, is that an L cut? And then it wasn't. But for a moment, it was very effective. The barbershop scene.
Yeah.
They're all singing, and then it cuts to, I think it's Haynes riding into town on a horse. It was kind of a continuation, but...
okay. You hear the music.
Like you still hear the music, and doesn't sound like it's outside. It just sounds like it's continued. It was pretty good. I'm sure on listen. I'm sure upon second listen, which I'm sure you'll put in now. It'll just be the opposite of what I said.
You're paying attention, future Paul? You're watching Die Hard.
Oh,
Stop watching Die Hard. Edit this podcast.
Classic Paul.
Ugh, classic Turdy Paul.
Of days when we sang all night long.
The scene transitions to outside, but you can still hear the audio from inside. It's diegetic. It's not an L cut. Come on! There's a bit where the villain is riding up at speed, and he's getting off his horse before the horse stops, and he just sort of leaps off, and that's pretty dynamic, and he does it well.
Nice. Dynamic
Again,
chat.
30s, they didn't give a shit if he made it or not, but the result was pretty cool.
He's dead. Get the next one. Oh, he's not dead. Well.
Put the next one back in the box.
Save me $5.
Jesus, 30s.
I know, for fuck's sake.
What's wrong with you?
With the exception of all the bits of the set that were just standard sized and there for a joke.
Yeah.
A lot of the set was tailored to dwarf height.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of effort that had gone into that, I imagine. I imagine.
Yeah. Probably.
Probably.
No, you're right, there was. And there was some lovely little bits of attention to detail, like the step up to the bar. Although, why not make a shorter bar? A question, but...
Because it was a funny joke, Paul.
It's pretty funny.
Because he says chins up to the bar, and because they're short.
Yeah. Because they're short.
Mm.
When the villain is recruiting the sheriff to help him out on another dirty deed, done dirt cheap, he says, I got something for you to do, and the sheriff says something like,
Yeah, I reckon it won't be anything I can be proud of.
Yeah.
Again, it's just that good sort of lazy dialogue that I really like. It's a nice resignation and kind of weariness that you get in great Western dialogue, and I like that.
You're the sheriff! Why are you doing this?
Do something!
I would, but it's mighty hot out. You're going to murder that guy. Yeah, but murder's easy. Oh, I hate you, sheriff. Such a contradiction.
Murder's easy. Living's hard.
Pimping ain't easy.
Bitch.
Jesus, that is. The line from the dancing girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was really connected to what Haynes was saying, but probably his whole persona. She just goes,
Oh, I see. A woman hater.
and I just really, really love the pronunciation and delivery of that. It was just classic uppity female from the 30s and 40s Hollywood. It's just, that's like that, eh?
Was it the German accented saloon girl? Sort
Maybe.
of Marlene Dietrich type.
Because
I did like her. I thought she was rather good.
I did like her.
Yeah,
Lord.
I thought she was great.
Dynamite.
There's been characters I liked.
Yeah.
I really like the sheriff character, actually.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that he's this really downbeat, kind of hard to get a read on, but I think he's just given up on this town. Weirdly, he's weary. He's sick of it all. He doesn't believe he can make a difference. He's too potentially cowardly to try and stand up to the guy he knows is the bad guy. And at the end of the movie, he decides to finally do it and gets killed immediately for doing so. He is instantly killed for this one moment of heroicism in the film. And his last words are just enough to ensure that the posse are going to be able to catch up with the villain. So he makes, he gets to very sadly, make his difference in the end.
Yeah, his death was pretty tragic because he's so soft-spoken, you could barely hear it.
It was a sad moment, and it was. It was good.
I think
I thought it was really good.
The fact that you couldn't see his face whilst he's delivering it as well makes it even.
It was tragic.
Makes even more tragic because it's. I don't know. It just seems like his
Lonesome Dove.
It is like Lonesome Dove. It's like Brad Dourif in Lonesome Dove. Another line. I think this was definitely the Marlene Dietrich character.
Oh, okay.
And don't get the idea you can kick me off like an old shoe.
Oh, that's great.
That you can kick me off like an old shoe.
It was Werner Herzog playing.
Yeah, Just hey, mother, father, it's me, Werner Herzog in the West, in the Old West. If you were thinking of kicking me off like an old shoe, then do not. Can we get another read on that, Werner?
No.
Werner?
You may not. I am off to go and visit the puppets.
Of the future.
Jesus, what a mysterious man. I love him. The gunshots, I think, sounded quite good, surprisingly.
It was that Haynes.
Considering, how poorly made everything is, as soon as someone needs to get shot, it's a proper, old-fashioned boom! You're on the ground, motherfucker! You're dead, bitch!
Dead, you little bitch! 30's horrible. Horrible place.
Jesus, it's just a horrible time and place and everything.
I'm gonna shit in your dead mouth now, you little booch. Fuck's sake,
Yeah.
guys.
You look out. They're coming around again. They're going to be just as bad this time.
It really is coming around again, Paul. By the 30s, that's going to be what our Prime Minister says when he or she comes on. And everyone's going to go, God, he's just so great. It's a good thing we don't have socialism.
Thank God we voted for this absolute monster. To rule us like a king or queen.
Both, in fact. It's a horrible amalgamation. So Theresa May and Boris Johnson sewed themselves together to prolong their lives. And they voted for it.
we all voted for it. We all thought it was a good idea. 52% to 48%.
We all voted. People united.
It was agreed that this new May Johnson behemoth was the best thing for us.
Terebis.
And that's how
Terebis.
And that's how we re-entered fucking the EU as conquering heroes.
Riding her gallant steed.
It was easy. All we had to do was capture Brussels. They made it so easy for us with all their centralisation.
With their horses that weren't just multiple horses stitched together. Stupid Belgians.
We opened up the fucking dropship door and they all slopped out. And victory was assured. The
people of Belgium sadly suffocated, but for freedom.
For the benefits of freedom for all of it. Thanks, Patrol Madoj.
Terebis Mayjohn. Terebis Mayjohn.
Oh, I don't like calling him Mayjohn. I feel like it humanises it. And that's to the detriment of the God King of Europe.
That's true. You got to insist on the full name, the Hellbringer, Hellgaper. My last one. It is that piece of music, the Jack and Jill one.
Oh yeah.
And you'll be mine, Mr. Jack, and I'll be yours, Mrs. Jill. The crowd will congregate, celebrate the wedding of Jack and Jill.
Partly the melody, which is very catchy.
Is this the one they sing to each other?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be your Mr. Jack, I'll be your Mrs. Jill.
Okay. Love it.
It's the cadence. I know, you're welcome. The cadence of the lyrics in that piece of music seem to like stretch to the rhythm rather than dictating it. I don't know, there's just something about songs where you have lyrics and you just have to try and make them fit, and sometimes it can make for a really hypnotic or mesmerizing sensation. And it just, for me, it just really did that. And I hated it to begin with, partly because of, the first initial performance of it. Felt like they just tried to make it as weird as possible for the 30s audience.
Yeah.
But the more I heard it, the more I just thought, yeah, well, this is my life now for about a week.
Might as well accept it and try to embrace the Jack and Jill.
The Terebis.
Yeah, that's really sweet. That's a really good note to end our list. Oh, there's a great explosion at the end.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
when the
Christ.
lodge goes. Fucking hell, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, good old explosion.
How many of the team were in there just to make sure it went off properly?
You watch this and make sure it explodes. Feel like there are other ways
we
we
do
might
that
be able
from
to
outside?
tell. Nope.
You've got to get that inside explosion just right.
You been filming this? I haven't been filming any of this. So...
This is a bet.
And that's The Terror of Tiny Town. It was a very ill-conceived, somewhat exploitative movie that has some fun bits to it, which maybe we'll be able to reclaim as a curio from a time that is very gratefully past, and hopefully she'll never come again, God forbid. Look out for Mayjohn, the God King of Europe.
Embrace the Terebis, everyone.
Embrace that Terebis. Paul, did the Terebis get in touch? Did any of the team who had been amalgamated into the Terebis?
Do you know what? Not a single member of the OG team embraced the Terebis.
Oh, fuck!
And do you know what? I gave them a full hour to get back to me on that.
That's as long as
the movie. Which was enough time to watch the movie. So, who's to blame?
Who is to blame?
Who's to blame?
What do you think, UN? Coming for you next.
You don't. All it takes for Terebis Mayjohn to engulf Brussels in an army of stitched together asphyxiating horses is for you to
just do nothing.
Do nothing, I guess.
That's the long version of that phrase. To
not let that happen. Yeah.
The meaning did get lost.
It's a better phrase. I think more is more in this case.
Absolutely. All right, Paul. What's your? Well, let's talk about the one better thing. The one better thing. What is your one of those?
So, initially, I went through a few things that had little people in them, and then went, well, that's not still not great. It's a bit of a cop out because it's not There's not their stories. They're just used well. This is just Lord of the Rings. So,
Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That's the end of that list.
Yeah. There's something about Star Wars about just putting a dwarf in a moving bin and say, there you go. That's representation. It doesn't feel right. So I'm going to go with there's a short documentary which you can see on YouTube. It's called "Don't Look Down on Me" by Jonathan Novick.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's only 6 minutes long, so it's twice as long as this movie, unfortunately. But you know what, you can make time for this. He just introduces the audience to the basics of achondroplastic dwarfism,
right? And
films a day in his life with a little button cam, bringing him into contact with all kinds of people, who are taking photos of him, yelling stuff, or just saying he looks like another little person they've seen on TV. It's not all malicious, but definitely ignorant.
Yeah.
Even in just 6 minutes, it can be kind of eye-opening. Even, I think, for us and most people who listen to this podcast, except for you, John, fairly well educated, and you're not going to learn anything new, but it's eye-opening to see where a lack of education or experience or exposure can, really impact somebody's day. And it's little things like this that help normalize it, and more people should see it. Yeah, I'll pop the link in the episode description. Give it a watch.
Fantastic. Good stuff. That's a really good one better thing. I am leaning into the other side of things. I'm going to stick with... it absolutely is. I'm going to stick with movies that have been made by people who are not themselves of short stature. Physical stature, that is. I'm going to stick with two of these movies, one of which is Freaks, the 1932 film, which has people of various different impairments. Or I guess you'd call them physical abnormalities, perhaps, if they're not necessarily an impairment or impediment to the way the person lives. Freaks is interesting. It's a 1932 film set within a freak show, and critically reviled at the time. It's about a woman who kind of enters into this world, romances one of the lead performers in the show, much to the disagreement of another performer. Drama happens, and it all gets a bit weird. Now, it's made by Todd Browning, the guy who made Dracula in 1932. It's a 1934 film, so he did this... No, this is a 1932 film. Oh, when did he make Dracula?
When did I make Dracula?
When did I make Dracula? When did I make Bram Stoker's Gary Oldman's Dracula? Who knows? But he made this very shortly after. And there was a big critical reassessment, partially because the film goes a great way to humanize the performers in it. This is not just a case of, hey, audiences, come watch how freaky these people are. This is, a case of these are human beings. The woman is wrong for wanting to exploit this circus that they're a part of, and the circus isn't too great either. And the kind of horror of the thing is more about a societal disagreement than it is about, these people being who they are.
Yeah.
And it has a chance to showcase some of the talent of the people involved. So it's interesting. It's a point of discussion. Its depiction of disability is not going to be obviously as informed as something made now. However, it is a more interesting film than the one we talked about, The Terror of Tiny Town.
Yes.
Similarly, Werner Herzog's second film ever made, Even Dwarfs Started Small.
Oh.
Ochziger, Haben, Kleiner... Oh, not Klein. Ochziger, Haben, Klein, Angel...
Does the Klein have any...
Angerfangen? No.
Okay, yeah, Klein.
Klein, Angerfangen. I don't know what that means. 1970 film, made in West Germany, because there was a West Germany back then, imagine.
Gosh.
It's his second feature after Signs of Life, and it's a an institution on a remote island in which the staff and inmates are dwarfs. And the dwarfs overthrow the management and lock her away.
Yeah.
And then they sort of go wild and ultimately run amok in this place and do things like have cockfights, food fights, read pornography, set things on fire, kill a big pig. It's a very strange film, and some people have said this is the beginning of the kind of habit of using shorter actors at the point where they just wanted to have a shorthand for weird or surreal.
Okay.
And that's obviously a very harmful thing. But there's something going on here, and it's that bizarre kind of Werner Herzog view of equality, in which these people are equal in as much as they're awful like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Because given complete freedom, all they can think to do is just sort of burn shit, wreck things, and torment each other. Which is very much a sort of Werner Herzog outlook. And the significance of the fact that all the performers are short is almost insignificant, but also, why do it? You know? It's interesting. So...
Yeah, how equalizing.
He also said, what was it? He said, people getting hurt on set is the thing. And he said that if there were any more injuries, if they made it through the rest of filming without any more injuries, he would jump into a cactus patch and allow the actors to film him doing so. And no injuries were made, so he did it. And then in the film, Werner Herzog Eats His Shoe, which is a fantastic film, he's coming straight from filming and he's limping, presumably from having done the cactus thing. So...
good stuff.
That's entertaining.
He's a rogue.
That's good stuff. He's a rogue. He's almost more interesting as a man than he is as a filmmaker. But
yes.
Fortunately, his films are just fucking bizarre, and that is one thing about Even Dwarfs Started Small, is there's a lot more artistry in there than in The Terror of Tiny Town. It's a much more interestingly made film.
Great.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Auch Zwerge haben klein angefangen.
Ah, that sounds good. Do you know what it means? I imagine it's not Even Dwarfs Started Small.
Auch, is that also? Zwerge?
Oh, also, so maybe it is.
Two, yeah.
Also, so yeah. Even Dwarfs Started Small. Anyway, we have now spent more time talking about our one better things than Terror of Tiny Town. So, let us round things off. Paul, how can people find out about how we started, small or otherwise?
They can go back to episode 1, but don't.
For Christ's sake, don't.
That formatless mess, where at the very least I predicted that Wonder Woman, the first one, would be great and successful. And that's the only thing I remember from that. And
anything worth remembering.
Making a gross joke about a broken pelvis. So
come a long
ultimately,
way.
you can get better versions of that episode in many of the 200 episodes we've recorded since, and I would suggest doing that
instead.
Yeah, if you want to find out more about us, probably shouldn't go on Twitter and Facebook at OGT Pod, because that's where we put out the call for the OG team. So if you have any good things about movies that we watch, or any movies, come on, then you just got to get in touch with us there.
Yeah.
If you want to leave us a review, you can do so on iTunes. If you want to listen to us on Spotify, you can do so on Spotify. And if you want to pay us $1 a month to get access to exclusive content such as Paul's pitches, Let's Plays, Sexy 50 Shades of Grey parody, and more, then you can do so on Patreon.
Yeah, several
where
more.
For the price that I said at the top there is what you can pay, or more, for gifts.
Absolutely.
That's gifts with a T.
Oh, get it. But we'll also give you gifts of ourselves, watching the movies and having genuine experiences. I'm Paul Genuine.
I'm the experienced Paul Goodman.
Fuck yeah. That's definitely how you should be introducing yourself in all situations. Hi, I'm Paul the experienced Goodman.
Watch this space.
And remember, the one good thing about the Terror of Tiny Town is probably that we wouldn't make it nowadays. But let's say it's the fact that some of these people really did put in a little something extra for you. Yeah, you can enjoy should you find yourself with an hour to spare.